Now, many women suffer a miscarriage at some point during their life. In fact, figures suggest as many as 1 in 4 experience baby loss at some point. But it remains a subject that many people don't talk about, which can lead to feelings of shame and isolation. When Bex Gunn and Laura Buckingham started the Worst Girl Gang Ever podcast, they set out to help address the topic and help women through the same experience. And they've now written a book to help guide women through that experience. And Bex and Laura join me now. Very pleased to see you.
Hi,
good to see you both. So, Bex, first of all, tell us a little bit about what prompted you to write this book.
Well, back during the first lockdown in May 2020, I suffered a miscarriage, which I found out about at my 12-week scan. It was my 4th baby, and I just felt totally unprepared for the pain that miscarriage brought. And unfortunately, I was one of the comments that I received, like, at least you have your children, at least, you know, you can get pregnant, all that sort of thing. I felt so invalidated by those comments. And it was the same sort of comments that I'd made to people that had struggled with miscarriage before me without realising that they were so invalidating. And I just found that all the support that I scoured for on the internet was really clinical and research-led and sort of information-based, and I wanted to change that. So I wrote about my experience, and I wrote from a very real perspective, a very kind of personal, and I shared it on Facebook, and it had an unbelievable, you know, the response was incredible. And Laura, that's where I met Laura. She read what I'd written.
So why did you want to get in touch when you read what Bex had written?
So back then, I'd been on sort of a roller coaster of recurrent miscarriage for about 8 years. And having just had my little boy, he's 3 now, but he was my 8th pregnancy. So living in that world, I often watched from the sidelines because I was too sort of scared to speak about it. And there's a lot of stigma and shame attached to it. So I've sort of lived in this darkness myself and had tried to talk about it and make it a discussion, but it was always sort of falling on deaf ears. But when I saw Bex's article, I thought, right, she's saying the same things as me. Yes, we do need to talk about this more. We do need to totally rip open this stigma and so people can feel less isolated when they go through it themselves.
So, Bex, why do you think there is a stigma? Is it just that people feel that it's something very private and they don't necessarily want to share it? Do you think that they're worried about how other people will react? Why do you think there is this?
Yeah, I think that's sort of nail on the head. Essentially, I think that people worry, they don't know what to say, because it's a subject that, first of all, you have the silence before the 12-week scan. So we're not, you know, it's this rule that you don't tell anyone you're pregnant before you're 12 weeks.
That's the riskier time of your pregnancy.
Exactly, yeah. But because of that silence, if you do, and that's the, you know, most common is to have an early miscarriage. That is the most common loss to have. And when you have that loss, it's sort of, do I tell people I was pregnant and now I'm not? And so you're missing that support. I had told people, and so I could immediately phone people and tell them that I'd lost the baby, and they were there to support me. But some women feel that because they haven't told anyone they're pregnant, they therefore, it's a sort of roadblock in, how do I even go about doing that?
Well, yes, and for some people, they may think, I haven't even told my parents that I'm pregnant. The first thing that I tell them, for me, it doesn't want to be the sad news. I want to be telling them that I'm trying for a baby when it's happy news. And the same might be with employers as well. You may worry about telling a boss that you've been trying for a baby, even if you need support when it goes wrong.
And because that silence is already there, that sort of perpetuates this mystery that shrouds the whole topic. And I think that is essentially why people don't talk about it, because no one knows quite how to deal with it. So often people say nothing. But what people don't realise when they say nothing is that they're invalidating that whole experience. And you end up feeling that your baby wasn't real to anyone but you. And that is such an isolating place to be, because when we fall pregnant, when we see that positive pregnancy test, we've already a mum. We see years in the future. We see schools, we see names, we guess due dates, and, you know, we think about the time that our baby's going to be born. And when you suffer that loss, it's not just the loss of a physical baby. It's the loss of all those memories that you are yet to make. And it's a real shattering of the confidence that you held in the world around you, because we all grow up with this narrative of motherhood, and no one ever expects for that narrative to be false. So you have so much more ripped away from you than just that physical child.
Well, yes, and so there's so much going on in your mind when this happens, Laura, doesn't it? But also your hormones are going crazy as well.
Oh, yeah, all over the place. And that can be really, really difficult. After miscarriage, you're postpartum, so you still have the hormones, and it's obviously very, very emotional.
And so what difference has it made to you? You said you got in contact with Bex. So,
Yeah.
you know, what difference has it made? And to other people who've contacted you through the podcast, and now you're writing a book, of course, what kind of response have you had?
Yeah, I mean, it's been like a therapy for us personally, being able to speak about it and also help other people. When we started, we wanted to make just one woman feel less alone when they're going through the heartbreak. And what's followed has just astounded us, really. The response has been phenomenal. We started with a podcast because we thought, how can we make this topic more conversational? What better way to do it than to start a podcast? And we didn't really know what we were doing. And our approach was a bit haphazard, but people seem to love it and they relate to it. And then things have just snowballed. And, yeah, our book was released publication day to day.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, good luck with that. And
Thank you so
very quickly,
much.
what would your advice be to someone who is going through this